All right, let's talk about gold and silver. Gold is sitting right at all-time highs right now, 2734.9. Today is the all-time high, 2735.5. So we're less than a full point away from the all-time high, sitting right here. The gold has been on fire. Look at this thing. All-time high here, folks. Just keeps going up. Up, 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 up. Track sideways. Up, 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 up. Okay, I think gold's going to hit 2,800 probably in the near future. I also think gold is probably going to go to 3,000. That's going to take probably a little bit longer to get there, but I do think it'll hit 3,000. But for now, I think 2,800 is definitely within reach, probably pretty soon. Now I mean, things could change as we get to this election, right? We are about 2.5 weeks out, I guess, from election, somewhere around there. 3 weeks. So that could change the landscape, and we could see a big decline in a lot of products, indices and commodities and futures. So, that is possible. And if they recover, or how much they recover, whether or not we even get this decline, that we have to wait and see. There probably will be some type of decline November, December timeframes, most likely going to happen. And I think even the precious metals could potentially get affected by that, because there could be some synchronicity across products. So that is something that could definitely happen. Let's look at the weekly chart. We'll come back to the daily. We're also going to look at silver here. So first, the weekly chart. And I haven't really looked at this super close yet, so we're going to look at it right now. I'm trying to see if the cycles I have in there make sense. That cycle there is pretty obvious. This one's kind of obvious. That one's obvious. This one's pretty close. And then after that, it was just off to the races. Right, once we got past this kind of just chopping sideways, and look at this, it was all the way down here at 1,600. Just back in October of 2022. Okay, so just 2 years ago, this was at $1,600. And now we're way the heck up here at 2735. So gold is most definitely reflecting the state of affairs in the economy, both in the United States and worldwide. Right? People have a sense, investors, hedgers, people that hedge, not just people, but large entities that are acquiring gold and silver. There's a sense that the economy worldwide is on edge, and gold, I definitely think, is reflecting that. We got, especially since the United States is often looked at as the leader of the world in some regards, anyway. And I think the world sees that the United States is in big trouble. $35 trillion in debt. Talked about this before. And I don't think the United States is going to get out of this. I don't think the United States is going to be able to escape this massive decline that's going to happen. I think there is going to be a collapse. Talked about this before. I think there will be an economic collapse in the United States. Exactly when it's kind of hard to tell. Could be 10 years, less, more. Okay, I'm just throwing out 10 years, but I think it's going to happen. I don't think the United States can recover from $35 trillion in national debt. It just isn't going to happen. There is no solve this problem, because nobody's willing to do it, right? The House of Representatives, U.S. House of Representatives and Senate are both not willing to address it. No president, including Trump, has even begin to address this national debt issue. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's just magically going to take care of itself. Well, guess what? It isn't going to take care of itself. And the U.S. debt is absolutely crushing this nation. The interest alone is so crazy. Just go to U.S. debt. I think it's called U.S. Debt Clock. Look it up on Google, whatever search engine. You'll see a website. It's tracking all the national debt. I think it's up to $400,000 per U.S. citizen. Yeah, you would have to have I don't know if it's tax-paying U.S. citizens, adults, or just every U.S. citizen. I don't remember which one it is, but basically $400,000 per U.S. citizen. Never going to happen. No way are all the total population of the United States is going to come up with $400,000 per person to cover the national debt. That's basically like one metric that's used on that website. You should check it out. I'm not going to look at it right now today, but I'm throwing that in there because I think gold is reflecting, the precious metals are reflecting this obvious problem. Okay. The United States, guys, I hate to say it. It bothers me to say it, but I believe it's on the backside of its greatness. I think the United States is on the backside of its lifespan. We're on the downward slope, and every empire and nation goes through this. And there's a lot of reasons why the United States is failing. I'm not going to dive into all that. There are some things that transformed America in a very bad direction. Some really hard decisions, or I should say, it's a word I'm looking for here. I guess sin. I'll just keep it straight. Big sin. Some big sin. It impacts a nation. I know people don't want to talk about that because it's unpopular. Oh, it's a Christian thing. Right. But sin affects the moral fabric of a nation, affects the nation just across the board. The United States is a nation that actually honestly believes, and a lot of people believe this, and they've been duped into believing this, that debt is actually a good thing. Yeah. Many Americans have high debt, credit card debt, mortgages, car payments, you name it, debt. And you have the Marxist left and who actually try to tell us that the only way to get out of debt is to spend. You got to spend your way out of it. Yeah, everybody knows you got to spend your way. This has been talking about this for decades. They've been spewing that lie and that garbage for decades. You got to spend your way out of it. So when you have that mentality of spend instead of save, well, you get where we're at right now, $35 trillion in debt. In the old days, people believed in saving. I'm not saying all borrowing is bad, but excessive borrowing is bad. And the United States is most definitely in a horrible financial situation, and I do not believe it'll recover. Let's just say you get a president, we'll just pick Trump, it could be any president, gets in there and they're like very conscientious about the economic affairs of the United States. And they look at the national debt, like what kind of plan are they going to come up to deal with that? First of all, you'd have to have a balanced budget. Has anybody heard Washington, D.C. talk about a balanced budget in the last, 20 plus years? Nobody talks about balanced budgets, 30 years. It's completely off the table. You know what they talk about in the Congress, both the lower and upper house and presidents? They all talk about the same thing. Spending. That's all you ever hear. We're going to spend less. No one talks about budget. They just talk about spending. The vocabulary completely changed like 20 or 30 years ago. We're going to spend less, which means they spend more than the taxes that are coming in. That's what that means. That's why that vocabulary changed. We're going to reduce spending. Meaning, we're going to reduce the excess spending that's up and above the total tax revenue that comes in. That's how it works, in case you don't know. Taxes come in, and you what you're supposed to do is look at your total taxes coming in and make a budget that matches or comes in even with a surplus for the taxes, right? You don't spend more than you have. But the United States has long since, for decades now, spending way more than the tax revenue. Okay? So what does a nation do? Well, the nation first has to decide not to spend more than the tax revenue. And we're nowhere near that because it's unpopular. Right? We have to send money to Ukraine. We have to send money to, frickin' Iran. When Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama, was in there, he was sending money to Iran. Okay, people may dispute that, but basically, in a nutshell, that's what was happening. Spending money on the Muslim Brotherhood to trounce around in the Middle East, taking down other nations. Let's spend money. Too big to fail. I could go on and on and on. The Federal Reserve and BlackRock in cahoots with one another. I mean, I could just go on. I could sit here for an hour talking about all the crime that's going on regarding U.S. currency and how it's abused and spending and blah, blah, blah. So until the federal government, Washington, D.C., the legislative branch and a president, until they start talking about balanced budget, if they don't start there, forget about it. You first have to get your spending to be equal or less than your tax revenue. That would at least stop the bleeding. But then you have this massive existing debt and the interest payment is so high that what are you going to do with it? Right? So you would stop the whole we're spending more than we bring in scenario, but then you got this debt that's just going to keep on running wild. So you have to address that. So you have two-step process. One is balance the budget, and two, address the national debt. Balancing the budget is doable. They don't want to do it, but it's doable. That's the easy part. Stopping the massive debt bomb, well, that's a different story altogether. That would require the people of the United States of America, federal government, state governments, everybody to be involved and seriously tighten the belt. Forget about your American dream, right? Bye-bye. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Gold is a reflection of a travesty to come. Okay? It's as if the precious metals know something we don't know. And yes, they may pull back here and do all that stuff, but they're not going to. Eventually, the chickens are going to come home to roost, and this thing's going to go to 3,000. It could go even higher than that, 4,000, 5,000. This thing could absolutely just go ballistic. But for now, I see 2,800 in the very near future, and 3,000 is also on the table. And I don't believe the United States of America is going to do what's necessary to take care of its massive debt bomb that's going to happen. This isn't just, I'm not talking about a bubble. Everybody talks about the bubble. It's another bubble. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a debt bomb. The national debt bomb. That's not a bubble. That's got nothing to do with bubbles. That's a totally different subject matter. All right, so looking at the weekly chart, getting back to their charts here, yeah, sky's the limit. And yes, we could get pullbacks here. Okay, what does this weekly thing say? It's out in February of 2025. Look at this right here. Look at this big pullback on the SMI. It just tracked sideways. Look at this pullback. It barely pulled back, right? It pulled back less than 200 points here, 150 points, 180 points, whatever it was. Okay, so since 2023, the beginning of 2023, gold has been in positive territory momentum for just a very, maybe just a couple weeks there, 2-3 weeks in October of 2023, it went negative, but didn't stay there. So it's been positive territory for a long time. Okay, so very bullish. Now it's pretty extreme right now, up over 100 here. Okay, so we may see some kind of pullback because of that. Let's go look at the monthly chart. Monthly. Let's re-look at this chart. Let's see if I can make any sense of this. It's kind of something right there, but these cycles aren't exactly. Yeah, that one's probably as good as any right there. Yeah, that's pretty good. There we go. Yeah, that one's pretty much right on. Let's do that. We'll go with purple or something to do a different color for monthly. And I will make this a little more bold. That looks reasonable to me because I see something here. There's something right there. It's a little bit early. There's definitely this right here. And then there was a little something right there. So these cycles look pretty decent as far as cyclicality goes. And this one's coming out to almost May of 2026. So I could see it pulling back here, right? It may do some type of pullback, get up here and pull back, coming down into that. It might do whatever comes down. Who knows how far it's going to come down. But it's so bullish right now. Will it really get back down to this 1600? Maybe. If you go back here and see how we had this massive run up right here, the 2007, 2009 kind of financial crisis, and it took off and bam. See this little crisis right here? Gold even responded to it. It pulled back, but it didn't stay there long. Got all the way up to 17, 1800, and then it did pull back, right? So let's see what it did here. Let's call it about 1800, maybe even 1900. Yeah, it was 1900 and pulled back all the way down to 1,000. So it lost 900 points. Maybe not quite 900 points, about 800 points. Okay. So, kind of trying to do some quick math in my head here. It's not half, maybe like 35, 40%. Okay, so if we let's take even 40% of this. Okay, so 4 is 1,800 plus another, I'm sorry, not 1,800. 40%, sorry, 800 plus another, let's call it 280. About $1,100, 1,100 points, sorry. Yeah, this is another, gold and silver, both are points and dollars. But anyways, so 1,100, which will put this at about 1,700. Puts it right here, right in this area. My point being that after you get these big run-ups and you get the pullback, it doesn't really go back down to its original low, right? It just keeps pushing higher. So let's say it does this. Well, it's not going to take out that low or this low. It's going to come down, come down to here, which is about 1823. It's going to do something like that, okay? It'll be like this massive pullback to like 1800. Okay? That'll be like the lowest it'll do. It may do it like for a long time like this. And then boom, explode. Like I could see it exploding out in 2027, 2028. Like going way up there. So you might get this pullback, 1,000 points, whatever, and then it takes off and goes above 3,000. I don't know if it's really going to do that. My point is that any kind of pullback just from economic cycles probably won't devastate gold to the point to where it's, down, starts coming way down here, like back to historical lows at 500 or 1,000. I just don't think it's going to happen. Okay. So there will be probably cyclicality, and there's going to be that kind of stuff going on. It's not just going to go to the moon continuously. It'll pull back. Like let's say Trump gets in there. Well, gold might pull back because you have a conservative sitting in there who's running the government on a shoestring budget, right? Or I should say shoestring spending. Okay, and that'll probably affect, like there will be some confidence and people might sell gold because it's way up there, right? They exchange their gold for whatever, property or cash or whatever. I said it before, if you're in cash, if you have a lot of liquidity and it's in cash, that's a mistake. Big mistake. You want your assets in gold, silver, or property. There may be other hard assets, but those are the big ones. Gold, silver, and property, not cash. Cash is a worthless piece of paper. It's garbage. Cash, you know how I know cash is garbage? Because I can put fire to it. A low temperature flame and it's gone. If you put a low temperature flame to gold and silver, guess what? Just going to sit there and look at you. It requires high temperature to melt that. Lots of energy to melt it. And it takes extreme energy to destroy it. Because guess what? When you put high temperature to gold and silver, you don't really destroy it. You just bring it to a liquid. If you want to evaporate it, you got to use extreme energy and temperatures to do that. It's possible, but you would have to put a lot of energy into it. Okay, paper, you don't need a lot of energy at all. Gone. Paper dollar gone. $100 bill gone. It's paper, folks. It's just frickin' paper. It isn't worth a damn thing. You can wipe your butt with it. Don't forget that. The fiat currency is a freaking joke. It is the biggest scam pulled on the American people. So gold, I think will go to 2,800, and I think it'll go to 3,000. We might get some cyclicality in there before all that happens. But 2,800 could happen like even maybe this year, maybe. Okay, that's my take on gold. Let's look at silver. Silver is a little bit more sensitive. Look at gold just hit silver just hit all-time highs today. So it's following silver. All-time high. Bang. Just took out the all-time high today. Look at that. There it is. Kaboomski. Silver, all-time high, 33.8. Yeah. Same thing with silver. So silver, you know what? I think silver can go to $40. I really do. I think it's going to go to $40. Maybe not right away. Let me look at the weekly here. Man, silver cyclicality is so much. It's really pretty good. Silver has some amazing cyclicality. I'm trying to find. Let's do maximum weekly here. Let's look back here. Yeah, silver has amazing cyclicality. It really is. Look at this. Bam. A little bit wonky there. Here's pretty good right here. It's a little early right there, but it's okay for that. That one's good right there. This one's good right here. That's good for this one. It's a little bit skewed here, but then it gets back on track over here. This one is this one. These cycles are just amazing. That one is that one. Silver has really quite amazing cycles here on the weekly chart. Okay, and then January 12th, I think it's still valid for this cycle. Let's see. Yeah, January 11th, close enough. Close enough, we can change it. Okay, week of January 11th. Yeah, so November, December, January, there could be some pullback in a lot of products, like I said. And silver could also, so gold and silver could both be synchronized and pull back. Okay, but I think that's just temporary. I think it's temporary. Maybe it's a few months, maybe it's a year or two or three, whatever it is. I just don't think it's going to last. I think it's going to, after it does whatever dip it's going to do, it's going to absolutely go blast off. Because the national debt's going to come home to roost. And you know what I notice is a lot of nations follow the United States. The United States does these plays these games with their lending rate. The Federal Reserve, we're gonna increase rates. We have to increase rates. Inflation's a really big problem. We're waiting for the job something to cool off. And then just 2 months, 3 months before elections, we've met our goals and now we're gonna lower rates. What a bunch of lying you-know-whats. These people are criminals. It's magic. It's absolute magic. We've met our goals just 2 months before national presidential elections. Yeah, right. Jeez. So they play their games with the lending rate. We're here to save the world, everybody. Everybody clap the Federal Reserves. They're coming to save the day with their rate increases and cuts. They're just going to save the day. You can rate increase your lending rate and cut it and play your stupid little yo-yo games. The national debt hasn't moved one iota down. It's in blast off mode. So go ahead and cut your rates, increase your rates, play your stupid little games with lending rate. It ain't gonna save the United States. Idiots. They're not idiots. Actually, I believe it's intentional. The destruction of the United States of America is intentional, folks. So here we are, silver all-time high, right along with gold. If you didn't see the thumbnail, you should see my thumbnail. Acquiring silver. Good hedge against inflation. And even if silver pulls back like gold way down here, goes down to $22, I don't care. Because I know eventually, guess what? It's going that way. You know, whatever in years to come, it does one of these deals. I know we're in a weekly chart here, not a monthly chart. Let's go to monthly chart. Okay, monthly chart, max out. I don't have a monthly chart here, so monthly cycles. So we're just gonna do it this way. Looks like this particular silver 1,000 ounce is only going back to 2014. If I were to go to SI, the big contracts, I think it goes back further. Let's see. Yeah. Um, I don't know what cycles these are. I'm just going to get rid of it. Let's see if we can make any sense of these monthly cycles. Trying to match up with that. Does that make sense? Yeah, that one kind of does make sense. That's not horrible right there. It's actually pretty good. Okay, so we'll make this one lavender, purple, whatever it is. We'll do that for the monthly chart here. We'll do this. And then I'll save this as monthly. Let's see, what is this out to? This goes out to January of 2026. Yeah, 2025, 2026, somewhere out there. Big pullback. Potentially a big pullback. Hard to say for sure if it'll pull back and how much. Sometimes you just get flatliners, right? Comes up like that, just flattens out and then takes off again. So it's hard to say if this is going to do some big dippy do down into there. It could just get up here, do a little track sideways, boom, and then even higher. Okay. Okay. With the way the world is, with the amount of debt being carried by the world economy, especially the United States of America, it's going to be rough to hold back gold and silver. It's going to be very difficult to convince the world that they should not be hedging against a debt bomb. It's going to be really rough. Here's what I think is going to happen in the United States of America, guys. I think there's going to be some extraordinary measure taken to deal with the national debt. And they're going to try to wipe out this debt like magico, presto, change some formula or calculation. And then there's going to be war. Because I think the United States is going to renege on its debt. That's what I think is going to happen. They're just not going to pay the debt. And maybe they do some crazy digital currency or who knows what they're going to do. One world currency, which that's biblical. One world currency. The old stamp on your forehead or the back of your hand. Right. And the currency could be human lives. Right? Slave labor, who knows? Whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, but it does look like the world's heading towards something like that. A biblical prophecy come true. Because the debt's so high, I don't see how they're going to get out of it. They're not going to do it honestly. You kidding me? Human beings, it's not in their nature to be honest. Human beings' nature is to do things nasty, evil, down low, and dirty. Okay? So I don't think the national debt's going to be paid off. I think they're going to renege on this. They're going to come up with something extraordinary. They're going to say, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Maybe there's some wars break out because of it, because places like China don't like the fact that you're not paying back them their billions and trillions. Okay, something like that's probably going to happen. And gold and silver are going to reflect it, and they're going to go absolutely bonkers. I also think that United States world government is going to say, hand over the gold and silver for you to hold is illegal, just like they did back in the 1930s. I think that's coming too. They're going to say, you can't hold gold and silver, give it to us. I'm not going to say anything about what I would do, because I'm not going to announce anything about what I would do, how I'd react to that. Okay. But yeah, whatever. You should at least consider that possibility, because I think that's the real possibility. Yeah, they're going to try to tell you it's illegal. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, everybody. So silver, 2025, 2026 could be a cyclical pullback of some kind, and then national debt bomb becomes a big reality. Worldwide economy goes berserko, and gold and silver are going to go to the moon, man. They're going to absolutely reflect super or hyperinflation or deflation or some extraordinary economic collapse. Back over to the weekly. I don't really have it here, so let me get rid of that in the default cycles. We might as well do it since we're here. What's going on with the weekly? Let me get max week. Max weekly. Old Maxi. What do we got? Well, it's pretty obvious there's something there. I don't know. Let's try there's a cycle low here as well. This one's it's kind of be like let's see. Does this make any sense here? Let's see what we got. I'm trying to figure out if that cycle there lines up with anything. It kind of does. It's a little bit wonky, but it kind of does. It's not perfect. It's a big old cycle. Let's try something from here. Okay. Trying to grab a couple of the big obvious lows, but it's not always easy to get cycles to play nice. I mean, those two line up. Outside of that, those are the big ones. We'll leave it right there for a second. Let me just go back and see, does it make any sense going back? Does it line up back here? Not really well. Yeah, that's not bad right there. That is pretty snazzy. Yeah, this is okay. This is okay. So the weekly chart, we'll just do, I guess, blue on that. This is not bad. Let's keep this for now. Okay, this is pretty decent. So this one's way out into 2025. Yeah, see, we got the monthly chart showing January 2026. We got the weekly chart showing October 2025. That's only 2 months, 3 months away from each other. That's pretty good. That's ballpark synchronicity. So, yeah, late 2025, 2026, I could see a pullback on some of these as a cycle low, I should say, for some of these products like gold and silver. Okay, so we might see a decline as we go out into that. Let me say this as weekly. Okay. And then we're going to finish this up with the daily chart on silver. Okay, get rid of that. Daily chart. For some cyclicality here, do we have anything making sense here? Yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. It doesn't work everywhere, but it works pretty good most of the places. See, that's decent, just okay here. That's not great, but here is good, and here is pretty good. Definitely something like right there and there. Maybe another cycle in here. Maybe another cycle in there that's like interlaced. Okay, so to me, it looks like silver just started a new cycle on the daily chart. That's what it looks like. Looks like we have a fairly new cycle just starting here. And this goes all the way out to December. So we got, it could even go into like like late November before this even has think about pulling back. Short term, I could see silver going to 35 bucks at 35 points / bucks because it's the same. Okay. Some people are going to say, why would you acquire silver now when it's at all-time highs? You know, shouldn't you wait? Shouldn't you wait? It's true you could be acquiring gold and silver now and then it pulls way back and you're kicking yourself because you bought it when it was up here, but it's back to 25 bucks or 28 or 29 or whatever it pulls back to. Sure. But the way I see it is just acquire silver as an inflationary hedge against inflation, right? You're just systematically doing it from time to time. This way you're catching someone that's expensive, you're catching someone that's going to be cheap, right? You don't just invest, you don't just pour, thousands or tens of thousands of dollars into silver and gold all at one time, right? You just grab up a little bit, wait a little while, grab a little more. That's how you do it. This way you're kind of averaging out your cost, right? Especially if you bought like silver. Like I remember years ago I bought silver, okay? Let's go back over to the monthly chart here for a second. I bought silver like way back in here during this low down in here, right? When it was like $15, $16, $17. I bought during this time. I'm like, oh, for sure, this is a low. And I sold it, was up in here. I shouldn't have sold it, but that's whatever. Okay, I sold it for like a $10 profit. I had quite a bit of silver and sold it. Okay. But, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. My point is, you're going to have times of peaks and you're going to have times of, you know, troughs. Just if you're acquiring silver little by little as you're going through your life, just keep acquiring it. You're going to be catching it when it's cheap. You're going to be catching it when it's expensive. You know, you're averaging it out. So don't sweat it, you know. The point is to acquire it, right? And you have a hedge against inflation. And yes, it's possible you can even barter and trade with silver if everything goes to crap. And if it doesn't, fine, you have an estate that you're handing off to your children or your grandchildren or whoever, right? It's another way to look at it, right? You can even borrow against that. Not that I recommend borrowing because the United States, like I said, is in borrow mania, but if you wanted to, you could borrow against it. Okay, maybe a small amount of borrowing is okay, and a lender is going to say, okay, you've got X amount in silver and gold and you're borrowing against it. Okay, fine. That might be doable, as long as you don't overdo it. Okay, that's it. I just want to put out this video. I think both gold and silver in the years to come are going to go ballistic. In between, there could be some pullbacks. Very short term, I think gold will probably hit 2,800. I think silver will probably hit 35 here really soon, maybe 36. And then long term, silver is a little bit harder to gauge, but I think gold is going to hit 3,000. Like, I don't know, whatever. It's going to hit it. It's probably going to happen. And I think silver will follow suit. It'll go up too. It might even go to 40, 50 bucks, right? So I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, the 3,000 for gold, but I think in years to come, it's going to do that. Okay, that's it for now. You want to become a member, join $7.99. You get streaming charts for the SP 500 and gold, and you get alerts for that on the Discord server, and you get nightly emails Monday through Thursday. Okay, talk to you all real soon again next time.